what was the Iranian Navy is largely no more. There'll be more boats to be sunk, for sure. So their ability to project any power in that area in a naval sense is
diminishing.
Diminishing and will be increasingly diminished. Again, what I want your viewers to understand is this is only just the beginning.
Wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. Come now, and let us reason together, saith the Lord.
Well, we know there would be pushback against the president from normies, those who have not followed the Q team or plan will continue to follow the media, watch their favorite controlled opposition influencers, and find something negative about all this. But the Q board has helped us keep calm. 17, that number continues to be used to tell us the action continues, and despite all that we see and hear, there is a plan. We're going to go through a lot of that today and talk us through this to just help settle the nerves. It's been pretty amazing with all the Patriots, especially with And We Know. You guys have been amazing. You've learned quite a bit over the last 8 to 10 years. Pretty phenomenal. You can follow us on Rumble, 508,000 followers there now, folks. That's where they have free speech for us. That's our go-to for videos. We have uploaded at BitChute and other places too. And we hope you hit that like button. It helps us get to the top of the leaderboard. As you see on your screen, we're always, it seems like 1, 2, 3, or 4 around there next to Dan Bongino. And so pretty proud of that for you guys for what you're doing to help us get to that level. Let's hear from President.
Earlier this week here in Miami, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who's right here. Pete, you are fantastic, doing a great job. We're proud of you. And representatives of 17 different nations formally entered this new alliance. The heart of our agreement is a commitment to using lethal military force to destroy the sinister cartels and terrorist networks once and for all. We'll get rid of them. We need your help. You have to just tell us where they are. We have amazing weaponry, as you probably noticed over the last short period of time.
Of course, he gathers all these nations together on our hemisphere. And he says the number 17 again. As a reminder, 17 countries, is that a coincidence? I think it's pretty much comms for us to settle down and remember that there's a plan put together and it's all working out the way it's supposed to. Iran has been playing out, of course, through the airwaves through the weekend. We're going to go through some of this and share some thoughts.
I just spoke to the President of the United States 20 minutes ago about the Gulf states and their involvement. And what he told me was this. Iran had thousands of missiles pointed at all these Middle Eastern countries for the last 4 months. They were going to take over the Middle East, meaning Iran. They were going to control it all. The UAE, Qatar, Oman, and Saudi Arabia. They had 1,200 missiles pointed at these countries. All these nations were afraid of Iran, and they are not anymore. And they had reason to be afraid. We have knocked the hell out of them like no other nation could, and they still have remnants left. Just wanted you to respond to that.
Well, this is why the president, one of the reasons I think why he did this now. Imagine, we're seeing how the Iranian regime is behaving now. Imagine if the president had kicked the can like so many of his predecessors had, and at the rate that Iran was producing these drones and ballistic missiles, had tens, if not hundreds of thousands years from now. That's the shield that Secretary Rubio has been talking about. behind which they would then develop a full-blown nuclear program, which we know they intended to do. They were not negotiating in good faith. The reason President Trump went now is because they're at their weakest point, and he's not the type of president to kick the can and let future generations have to deal with a much stronger nuclear-armed Iran to then truly hold not just the region, but the world hostage.
Ambassador, they think Israel's the problem, but those Gulf states know Iran's the problem. I also asked the president about the rise in oil prices, $100 a barrel. And he said this about the Strait of Hormuz. These ships got to go through the Strait of Hormuz and show some guts. There's nothing to be afraid of. They have no navy. We sunk all their ships and all but 20% of their launchers. What is your reaction and that message to the merchant ships, and that's the Gulf states too, to start getting that oil going through there?
Well, to the president's point, we've destroyed their air force, destroyed their air defenses, destroyed 80-90% of their launchers and missile capability, and sank their entire Navy. This is about, I think, emotion. It's irrational. We have eliminated the threat for these both merchant ships, and commerce needs to start moving. In addition to that, the Development Finance Corporation, led by Ben Black, the president and secretary, and he announced that we'll put insurance in place just as an additional safeguard. So these ships need to start moving. I understand from talking to Secretary Wright, our energy secretary, that what they call Suez Max, which is a super tanker, has moved, and we're asking the rest to follow suit. We'll give them the protection they need, and we are knocking the snot out of Iran's capabilities. But again, one more reason why we had to do it now and not wait until they had even additional capability to not just hold the region hostage, but the world's energy supplies. Enough is enough. They've been doing this for 47 years.
That's right.
They started this war 47 years ago. Thank God President Trump is doing what's necessary to end it.
Yep. And I want to show you this that I just saw from the Kobasi letter. U.S. oil prices extend their reversal, now dropping below $100 a barrel and up just 9% on the day. We are witnessing the biggest daily crude oil reversals in history. So keep that in mind when you got these people that are normies or people that are kind of moderates and they're with Trump one day, they're not the next. They're finding fault with Trump, they don't find with Trump. And then you listen to podcasters who one day they love Trump, they built their whole platform with Trump, and then all of a sudden they're turning against him because they can't stand that he started a war. And they're just not paying attention. They don't understand what's going on. They could care less, or they're part of the controlled opposition and they're part of the enemy. And so, of course, the target is the British-controlled central bank power. Behind the missiles, there's an economic war going on.
Trump gave the order for Treasury to exert a maximum pressure campaign on Iran. I said at a speech at the Economic Club of New York in March that I predicted that the Iranian currency would collapse, that we would see the economy collapse thanks to this maximum pressure. So we have been softening up the economy and preparing the ground for what our great warriors are doing right now. So the Iranian economy was vulnerable. We cut off the dollar supply into Iran. All of their oil is sanctioned. We've been able to keep the funds, many of the funds out of Iran. One of the largest banks collapsed in December. The central bank was forced to print a huge amount of money. Inflation ensued, and people took to the streets. So there was an economic crash in Iran in December, and now we have the opening to go in, and our military is taking over from the sky and from the sea.
That's powerful. Catch on what's going on, folks? Let's head over to Pete Hegseth, shutting down 60 Minutes host.
President Trump's approach has been our interest in advancing those interests from the beginning. And so the fact that intelligence was gathered, whether from Israelis or ours, and always checked by our intel agencies to make sure it's accurate. A lot of times the best way to start operations is a trigger-based or condition-based moment, and you can work together on whether that makes sense. But we were always controlling the throttle about whether or not to go or not go, and ultimately to advance American interests and protect American lives.
Some might look at that sequence of events and say, well, that it was an opportunity more than an imminent threat.
I mean, I think much of that discussion is silly and academic. They've been killing us for 48 years.
That's right.
47 years. They have unabated nuclear ambitions. And when we obliterated their nuclear program at the end of the 12-day war in Operation Midnight Hammer, they should have come to the table and said, okay, we get it. You mean business. We're not going to have nukes. And they haven't. And as a result, when the president looks at it, generationally, he sees a threat that would continue to gather.
Continue to gather. Remember Ali Ahmad Khomeini, grandson of Ayatollah Khomeini, on February 4th, 2026? He was out there saying the Americans will die before they see us humiliated. Operation Epic Fury and Roaring Lion launched 24 days later.
People ask boots on the ground, no boots on the ground, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, go in, go in. President Trump knows, I know, you don't tell the enemy, you don't tell the press, you don't tell anybody what your limits would be on an operation. We're willing to go as far as we need to in order to be successful.
We don't tell you. We don't tell the press. We don't tell the enemy. We don't tell anybody. It's about time. I was so sick and tired when I was in active duty of hearing presidents come up and they're briefing, and now this is what's going on. They bring out the military guys and they'd brief, oh, this is how many troops we have in this area and that area, and they basically, I know they were doing a psyop against the enemy, and the enemy's watching those briefings, and they were getting told one thing and they're used to go another way. I get it. I understand how it works, but still, I don't want them knowing anything. Keep it under lock and key. We don't need to know. Just continue to defeat the enemy out there. President Trump revealed an incredible conversation he had with the Gold Star family regarding Iran. They told him, please win this for my child. Please win this for the child that they lost. And President Trump was out there with the vice president and Melania and others. They care about our military families.
Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. That this playback will be completely silent. There is no recording, no audio recording accompanying this video. That's why it seems a little still. No audio recording, just the video.
That's Dover Air Force Base. As they bring out those who served our country, warriors, paying the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. 6 service members honored with the dignified transfer, and there's President Trump saluting them. Vance saluting them. He's not looking at his watch. He's not trying to figure out what time it is. He's paying his respects. We're going to show you more from Pete Hegseth, the reaction from the public on this with Iran. Some more on some big takeouts of some areas that you're going to notice, and what President Trump had to say about certain things that the media likes to do to bait him, and he wasn't taking it anymore. Hang in there.
God, that is just a dramatic change in her from here to here.
Keep going.
And this is Rhonda Sutherland just a few years later, after early onset Alzheimer's had taken its toll.
Well, this is only one of millions of harrowing stories. Early onset dementia and Alzheimer's are on the rise. Reports show a 373% increase in diagnosis among 30 to 44-year-olds and a 311% increase in 45 to 50-year-olds in the U.S. in recent years. When doctors attempt to treat these brain diseases, they often focus on medicating the brain itself, addressing symptoms like a Band-Aid rather than solving the root cause. Alzheimer's disease is driven by chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, which damages brain cells and triggers the buildup of toxic proteins. Studies suggest that bioactive compounds in kimchi improve cognitive and memory function by targeting the amyloid beta, the main sign of Alzheimer's disease that forms those sticky plaques in the brain. Kimchi helps protect the brain by reducing oxidative stress, inflammation, and brain cell death, while also alleviating depression and anxiety. Notably, these same protective mechanisms are linked to reduced cancer risk with kimchi's ability to suppress carcinogen activating enzymes. That's why Brightcore created Kimchi One. It delivers all the benefits of real kimchi in convenient capsules. No taste, no smell, and non-GMO, and 100% made in the USA. So you can go in that description box below the video right now, and we know as viewers are getting 25% off Kimchi One with code AUK at brightcore.com/AUK. Or even better deal, call my friends at Brightcore and they'll give you up to 50% off plus free shipping. Call 888-317-9941. The first 100 callers to order will also get a free bottle of vitamin D3.
Call it war, call it conflict, call it a campaign, call it an operation, call it a contingency, call it what you want. If war is necessary, we're going to fight to win. And that's different than what Joe Biden had done or Barack Obama had done or others have done in this position. Or take that long war I talked about in Iraq. George W. Bush and others sending in hundreds of thousands of troops with a nebulous end state, dissolving the security forces and then unleashing an insurgency that had us tied there for over a decade, costing thousands of lives and trillions of dollars. President Trump's not fighting that way. And if the world hasn't taken notice of that yet, they're not fully factoring in how this commander-in-chief leads. He leads with clarity, with the clear America First objectives that protect our people and our interests, and then he gives the military everything they need to accomplish it. That means we set the terms. That means we decide when our mission is achieved, and then we bring our folks home, which I think is what the American people expect, that kind of strength from a commander-in-chief.
The Speaker.
That's what they expect from a commander-in-chief. Also wanted to show you this. The reaction from the people. So one of our favorite guys, right, at Communist News Network, CNN, guy always does a great job explaining the numbers.
Overall, public, and those who are either currently or have served in the military. Take a look at this Fox News poll that came out during the past week. Net approval rating of the current U.S. military action against Iran. Look at that. Overall, Fox News shows a dead even split. But look at those who served in the military. Significantly higher support for the U.S. military action currently going on in Iran at plus 20 points. That should not be so much of a surprise because take a look at how they view Trump's foreign policy overall. Again, look at those who served in the U.S. military versus overall. If you look at Trump's foreign policy overall, the net approval rating on that per Fox News, those who served in the military, they like what's going on average. Look at that. The net approval rating plus 8 points for Trump's foreign policy. But look at those overall. Way, way down there at minus 20 points. We're talking about a nearly 30-point gap between those who served in the military and overall. And this split, when it comes to those who served in the military and overall, dates back to Trump's elections, all the way back to 2016. But let's look at the 2024 numbers. Look at this. 2024 results. Those who served in the military, Trump won them by, get this, 31 points. Kamala Harris actually won all other voters by 2 points. And that means, Johnny Berman, that means that Donald Trump only won in 2024 because of support from those who served in the military.
Interesting facts, huh? Speaking of the military, massive escalation. Strikes are hitting Iranian oil storage and fuel infrastructure in Tehran, sending huge fires into the night sky. Energy targets like this go straight to the regime's economic lifeline. The war just entered another phase, and of course they use this to control the masses, and they are no longer going to have control. Now, President Trump was asked about these, this type of bombing.
Iran today accused the U.S. of hitting a desalination plant in Iran, and they said that might open the door to other strikes on infrastructure, non-military.
Allow us to also open the
So he's asking, "Oh, you guys are bombing, non-military infrastructure." What do you have to say about that, President Trump, right here? Here we go.
Open the door to other strikes against them.
Look, did you respond to that allegation? Did the U.S. hit the desalination?
They are among the most evil people ever on earth. They cut babies' heads off. They chop women in half. What they did, take a look at October 7th. Take a look at what they've done over the last 47 years. So I know nothing about a desalination plant other than to say if they're complaining about a desalinization plant, we complain about the fact that they shouldn't be chopping babies' heads off, okay?
He went straight to something that's disgusting. The media probably never heard anything like this before from a president of the United States. You're worried about us and what targets we hit, yet do you share the information of how evil these people really are, these Satan worshipers, that they cut babies' heads off? When he made that comment, I thought, that's the first time I've heard him go that hard at the media with their questions that they throw at him. That's the first time I've heard him actually expose the levels of debauchery that they're fighting up against. The people that they're taking out, they're not even people, demon-possessed. I saw this from Katie Miller. She threw in something that many of you can use with your normie friends that don't want to pay attention to what's going on.
And quickly, I just want to point out that what we've spent on the war so far is less than what Tim Walz has lost from Somali fraud in Minnesota.
How about that? How about that talking point? Oh, you're spending so much money. I mean, I saw it, guys. I saw a clip, I think, from Fox that was up on. Or no. It was when I was at the gym. I was walking on the machine at Planet Fitness, and I look up, and they got all these screens up, and I was like, I don't really watch the news. I get clips from different social media, and they're up there on Fox News. They're going through the expenses of what it costs to shoot down one of their drones that only cost, I'll just give you a number, right? Their drone cost $5,000, but it took, our $1 million missile to take it out. Look at the amount of money that we're spending for this escalation, or they call it a war, or whatever. No, it's amazing how even Fox News covers that, spending all that time sharing that type of information. And this reminder from Katie Miller was brilliant. You guys are worried about the money? What about all the money, the billions and billions stolen from the taxpayers out of Minnesota alone? More was spent there than this actual precision of what? Rescuing a country, taking down the central bank system, taking over the control of the Strait of Hormuz, getting our oil prices that are going to actually drop dramatically. Folks are complaining, oh my gosh, the media said that Trump's going to go. We're going to go. I went to the gas pumps. It's going up to $4, $5. Oh, panic. And then, what happens? What's going to happen 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later? Gas prices might probably start going down. Then you'll look at the end of this year at everything that President Trump accomplished over the past 2 years, and you're going to realize, it's not what I thought it was. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play this from Julie Donut. She posted this yesterday. President Trump taking down the agenda of these New World Order pests and how he's been doing this.
For those of you who continue to say that President Trump is one of them and he's a globalist, I have a list of things that's going to show you that you are wrong. And normally I can just wing these videos, but there's so much information, I'm going to have to read it. So let's check this out. President Trump withdrew the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement, from the World Health Organization, from the WHO. He withdrew us from that. He withdrew us from the United Nations Human Rights Council, otherwise known as UNHRC. He withdrew us from UNESCO, the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, the UNRWA. And in January 2026, the Trump administration announced a sweeping withdrawal from 66 international organizations, conventions, and treaties deemed contrary to the U.S. interests. That doesn't even mention that on January 23rd, 2025, Executive Order 14178, President Trump explicitly put that out to ban CBDCs, which is what the globalists wanted us to have in case we didn't behave. They could shut off our funds using central bank digital currencies. In writing, he stated that. Not to mention, President Trump is freeing countries, people, Venezuela, Iran, Cuba's coming, Mexico will also be included, all of these countries worldwide that have globalist deep state installed where their governments were overtaken, he is freeing them. So please explain to me how he is a globalist. He's doing the exact opposite. He is taking down the deep state, and they're fighting and screaming, and your people out there are listening to headlines and all these paid influencers that do not have your best interest or America's interest in mind.
That's right.
So pay attention. You can look all of this up yourself. Thank you, God, for President Trump. We are being freed. The best is yet to come. Hang on.
It's Julie Donuts. We'll see you next week on the cruise. For those actually coming on the cruise, if you're listening, if you aren't paying attention, they're having a lot of trouble at the airports, long lines, TSA. A lot of folks aren't going to work because DHS did not fund them. And so just be aware on your travel plans, and might want to get there super early if you're flying in to Fort Lauderdale area. So wanted to show you also, remember we had the 3 days ago, Iran's women's soccer team protested the Islamic regime by refusing to sing the national anthem. Then Iranian state media branded the women wartime traitors. The women were desperately begging for help from inside the team bus. They're putting up signs and singing, basically asking for help. They're being forcibly returned to Iran against their will. And then the latest update appears that these actual Iranian women's football team, they're still in Australia. The Australian government cannot send them back to Iran while the regime has assured they will punish them as wartime traitors on state TV. Keep them safe. And this is what they're saying on that TV. You punish traitors harder during war. That's what it's. Whoever takes one wrong step against the country during war, you have to respond to them harder. Like the story of our women's national team not singing the anthem. You have to respond harshly. This is not a symbolic act or mere protest. Not singing the anthem is the highest order of treason. Both people and officials must treat them as traitors. This is not a symbolic act. Like, write traitors are on their foreheads and punish them severely. See, so they want to punish national TV, putting that out. So before the threats, they weren't singing. After the threats came in, and they were on the field, and of course, putting their hand on their heart, and they were doing what they're told. You can see that on the video. So it kind of makes you wonder, right? Remember, we had all the kneeling of our football teams, basketball teams against the national anthem, refusing to sing. Did President Trump go in or anybody and say, that's it, you guys are under arrest, you're done, you can't do that? You know, they complained. We said these people shouldn't be followed, and what happened? Well, I believe the people stopped following them. They said, you know what, enough of these fake football players and basketball players and soccer players who refuse to stand for a national anthem. And you know what? It hurts them at the box, you know, where they spend their money and the tickets and the merch sales and all that. That's where he hurt them. But, you know, the president didn't go in and say, hey, you guys, how dare you? You know, you're kneeling. You know what? You're under arrest. We're going to put traitor on your head, and we're going to march you before the world. No, he pointed them out. He said, this is against America. How could you do such a thing? But they don't go in and do what these guys want to do to these girls. So I wanted you to hear from somebody out of Iran what she has to say about what happens there.
My friend getting beaten and barred from her final exams just because her hijab wasn't proper enough. And of course I do get mad when some privileged white people are telling me how I'm supposed to feel about a collapsing dictatorship. During the Women Life Freedom protests, I had to witness my people getting shot. Their crime protesting. And of course I get mad when these people never had to live under a dictatorship are telling us what to do or how to feel. Or in America, people who hate Trump, they post on the internet, they don't care, they protest, they have the freedom of speech. In Iran, if you protest against the regime, you'll get detained and then you'll get executed, or you'll get detained and you have to pay a lot of money to be free, or you'll just disappear and never come back home. Or you'll just get shot and die in the first place.
So, from the folks. I mean, I've seen thousands of these videos. You scroll through, there's another one. There's another one. There's another one. They're telling you what happens in Iran. And then you wonder why they have so many celebrations like this. Thankful for their freedom. Thousands and thousands Iranian people walking with their flags, excited, finally watching their dictators taken out, one at a time. Pretty powerful imagery there. Well, all this is playing out. Do you guys know in New York, there was an Islamic bomber, Amir Balat, the son of Turkish immigrants whose parents became naturalized U.S. citizens in 2017. His accomplice in Saturday's attack, Ibrahim Qayyumi, is the son of Afghan immigrants whose parents were naturalized in the 2000s. Stop importing people who later turn into our enemies. You're looking at them there on your screen. The FBI conducted authorized court-ordered searches at homes in Newtown Township and Middletown Township in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, tied to an IED that ignited during a protest in New York City by the Islamic jihadists. The two pro-Muslim extremists, Ibrahim and Amir, both self-radicalized in recent years and traveled to Turkey and other terror training hotspots. America welcomed their parents, who, by the look of it, achieved the American dream, and this is how their kids repay the country. And if you're looking at your screen, you can see what happened. The guy runs over. They're chasing him down. He grabs the IED, the explosive device, and tries to light it up. I've got a better video of that in a second. I want to show you how the media covers all this. This is CBS News. Improvised explosive found at protest near Manhattan's Gracie Mansion, Mamdani's official residence. So if you look at CBS News, it's like, oh, somebody tried to take Mamdani out. CNN, device hurled near New York City mayor's mansion, an IED that could have caused serious injury or death. The real headline should have been, explosive device thrown at anti-Islam protesters by radical Muslim jihadists. And oh, by the way, they were shouting, Allahu Akbar. They don't want to show you that. They don't want to go to these videos with this. There's your close-up. Radicalized. In the United States of America. Who would have thought? Huh. For those listening and not watching, there's a man on a plane in the United States was just screaming, death to America and death to Trump. Finally, somebody stood up and took him down. You know, if that happens on one of your planes, what are you guys going to do? We've got a lot more to cover on this. I'm going to show you what President Trump wants us to hear about the short-term oil prices, something from Il Donato Trumpo that's pretty amazing heading into Cuba and the information going on there, and some more comms. Stick around. New Spring Wellness Center. Your all-natural one-stop shop for optimal brain health and overall wellness. They're out of Osage Beach, Lake of the Ozarks. Folks, I've been there twice now. You can reach out to Chad and Katie Burrow for support. Are you a loved one or a loved one struggling with addiction? At New Spring Wellness Center, they offer a proven outpatient program that addresses addiction recovery like no other. Their brain restoration program is designed to restore your health, eliminate cravings, and help you achieve lasting recovery. Folks, I have witnessed it for myself. The changes in people who had addictions. They have faith-based support, IV therapy. They have prayer and so much more. John N. said he had alcohol and brain fog. He said, I came to New Spring Wellness for alcohol and brain fog, something I've struggled with for over 30 years. I tried AA before, but this treatment was unique, different than anything else, and it offered a better outcome for me. My head feels so much clearer. My faith has deepened. I've made new friendships, and I have no desire for alcohol, completely different than just 2 weeks ago. Around day 5, I started to feel a real change. There's truly no comparison. I feel renewed. The people here are friendly, professional, and knowledgeable. The patient care is excellent. I'd absolutely recommend this to anyone. Amber was addicted to Xanax for 15 years before coming to New Spring Wellness. Tried the inpatient and outpatient programs, counseling, AA. I came to New Spring to ease withdrawal symptoms in a stress-free environment and to begin repairing my neural pathways. A family member who works in recovery told me about it. Almost instantly, my withdrawal symptoms eased, and I finally had time to focus on myself, surrounded by caring individuals. The emotional support and brain restoration formula made a real difference. By days 2 to 4, I had more energy and better focus. Folks, I've talked to people there, prayed with folks that have come through this program. It will change your life. Go in the description box below and click on that link to change your life or others forever. So President Trump put this out. I know we talked about the oil already, but I want to make sure you knew. He said the short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for USA and world safety and peace. Only fools would think differently. So the fools were out there saying, oh my goodness, the oil. Remember, we just showed you the oil prices are dropping. But I wanted you to see this that he wanted out there.
I do want to ask you two related about oil. U.S. oil hitting $100 for the first time since July of 2022. Obviously, that is going to have major implications, not just for the world, but certainly people, Americans right here at home. What's the significance of that?
So, I mean, it is fairly significant. I mean, President Obama had once stated that he could see his poll numbers rise and fall based on the price of oil. So it's definitely got domestic political impact, but in a more practical sense for Americans, right? We get very little Gulf oil coming to the U.S. The impact directly of that oil that's not really coming out, about 20 million barrels a day, really goes to markets in the East, so over to India and China in that direction, right? But there's an overall, market effect in terms of the price of oil, which we're seeing now at Brent crude there at about 108 a barrel, or WTI crude about 108 a barrel. In speaking to some of the ship brokers who are responsible for moving oil around the world, they're saying that this could spike somewhere between 100 and 150. We've got about 7 to 14.
And it's already gone below 100. That's how quickly it happened. So just wanted to show you this from the White House. They actually posted a picture from the White House, and they put the words, "Patriots are in control," using, again, information from the Q board. Ultramag and Eaton Erickson caught this. More Q comms from the White House X account. That Patriots in control is on drop number 4. We are told don't fool yourself into thinking Obama, Soros, Rothschilds, Clintons, etc. have more power present day than the President of the United States. Operation Mockingbird, which is the media, the liars they are. Patriots are in control. Sit back and enjoy the show. We are at the precipice. The swamp is fighting back. Remain calm. We are here for a reason. Patriots are in control. So much control that Cuba is next on the docket. President Trump has brought them up quite a bit. I think I've got a clip where President Trump actually talks about Cuba being next.
We achieve a historic transformation in Venezuela. We're also looking forward to the great change that will soon be coming to Cuba. Cuba's at the end of the line. They're very much at the end of the line. They have no money. They have no oil. They have a bad philosophy. They have a bad regime that's been bad for a long time. And they used to get the money from Venezuela. They get the oil from Venezuela. But they don't have any money from Venezuela. They don't have any oil. They don't have anything from... People can't even... They land in Cuba. They can't get gasoline to fly out. They have to leave their planes behind. And they want to negotiate, and they are negotiating with Marco and myself and some others. and I would think a deal would be made very easily with Cuba. But for 50 years, I've been hearing, as a little boy, I'd be hearing about Cuba. Cuba's a disaster. But I've been hearing so much about Cuba. But Cuba's in its last moments of life, as it was. It'll have a great new life, but it's in its last moments of life the way it is.
Do you think this word is getting to the folks in Cuba? You betcha. The domino effect is happening. Protests are erupting in Cuba with people shouting down with the communists and communism, freedom, and freedom. They're seeing it. They're like, hey, Venezuela was done. Hey, Iran was done. And now President Trump's mentioning Cuba. Oh, this is it. Those that are oppressed, they're coming out in droves. And they're starting to get the courage to stand up against the evil. Pretty amazing. And so I saw this. Remember we talked about Il Donato Trumpo. That's his burner account, President Trump's burner account, right? That's his account where, he poses as Il Donato Trumpo, but actually he's having a good time over there with his own account. We believe this is President Trump. He actually admitted to that. And they showed this. Cuba knows what time it is. He posted it at 9:48 p.m. with a 44-second video. I'm going to show you that video clip in a second. It's pretty funny. Ultra Magadine Erickson reminded us another message from President Trump through his burner account. And 44-second video means drop 44. Before President departs on Friday, he will be sending an important message via Twitter. God bless. 9:48 is the time he posted. 9:48 on the cue board says extreme efforts to kill login devices, extreme efforts to censor, extreme efforts. Dead count bounce. Enjoy the show, bring the rain, and it's going to be brought, and it all matches. Thanks to the cue board. These things that are playing out before our very eyes. Watch this that was sent out by Il Donato Trumpo.
Queridos amigos de Cuba, les habla su presidente, el presidente Trumpo. Actually, right now, I'm not your presidente per se, but if you think about it, why not? ¿Por qué no, muchachos? El presidente Trumpo es mucho fun. I love the fiesta. I love salsa, both the music and with nachos. We can have fiestas every single day with delicious mojitos and sexy mamacitas. Anyway, I hear you're running out of oil. Esto no bueno. Might be time for El People of Cuba to get rid of your leaders and join El Presidente Trumpo in making El Cuba great again. Comprende, muchachos?
Oh, my goodness. If you guys are listening to the podcast, you got to go and check out the video. You got to go check it out and see what they've got him dressed up as. With the beard and everything. And the uniform. Oh, and then I saw this clip that's really helping us out.
I think we're underreacting to everything Donald Trump administration has done. You mean to tell me that after 27 years of socialism in Venezuela, they're finally free and they're about to start all over and have a free country? That's huge. You mean to tell me that the Ayatollah is finally dead? That we never in our life thought that Iranian women can walk around freely and not be oppressed? You mean to tell me that we thought that was going to happen in our lifetime? And it finally did? You mean to tell me that my home country of Cuba, after 67 years of communist dictatorship, is going to be free in a few weeks? We're underreacting because this is historic. No one, say what you will about the man, feel how you want to feel, but if you can't sit there and say, you know what, I don't like him, but I have to give credit where it's due, no one else has been able to accomplish this, then you need to self-reflect and see what's going on and how bad that TDS scrambled your brain, because credit needs to be given where credit is due. I'm not saying you have to like him, but you have to recognize how huge this is. As a Cuban person, you guys don't understand. We let go of seeing a free Cuba a long time ago. We never thought, most of us abandoned our country in the sense of that's never going to change. I don't even want to think about it. So much, our families have so much trauma from it. We just don't want to think about Cuba. And we're just And now we have hope again. Not just hope. It's not a matter of if anymore. It's a matter of when. This is such a big deal to me. I could cry. And seeing it, and seeing the Venezuelan and Iranian people get their freedom is something that is just amazing to me. I'm so beyond happy. I'm so beyond grateful to this administration. Probably the best administration we've seen in 100 years. They have done the impossible. They have done and dared to do what no one else has. And I think it's a huge deal.
You know, she brings up some great points. And I thought it's interesting when people say, you don't have to like him, but you have to give credit where it's credit's due. You know, where did we get the thought that we have to say that when we're posting things on social media? You don't have to like him, but how do we get to the point where people say, well, I really don't like him? The answer to that, in my opinion, is the media made people feel like they had to say that. Because the media put into the minds of the people that he's just this terrible guy. If the media would have supported him like they're supposed to and put out the truth, then we'd be all right. If the former presidents who were selected and not actually elected would have done their job, then we wouldn't have the issues we have now. Well, it's interesting because Jesse Jackson had his funeral, and who showed up? Oh, Obama showed up. Biden showed up. Clinton showed up and got up there to give speeches, and they turned it into a political attack on President Trump and his administration. And you know what? Jesse Jackson's son called them out for this crap.
Yesterday, I listened for several hours of 3 United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson.
It's good.
He maintained a tense relationship with the political order, not because the presidents were white or black, but the demands of our message, the demands of speaking for the least of these, those who were disinherited, the damned, the dispossessed, the disrespected, demanded not Democratic or Republican solutions, but demanded a consistent, prophetic voice that at no point in time ever sold us out as a people. And it speaks volumes about who the Reverend Jesse Jackson was.
Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. They knew when they were invited and brought up on the stage that they're not going to have the rhetoric of true leadership. They would go after President Trump. They knew that. Why do I say that? Well, what if this was set up in such a way to allow them to come in, these actors? Remember, these are actors. Actor, actor, actor. And they said the vile things that they did. And then the people in the audience hear it. And then, of course, you've got Jesse Jackson's son coming out saying, that's not the way you're supposed to conduct yourselves at the funeral. That would take another, what I would say, 500,000 to 1 million people who were probably upset too and didn't like the way it was being handled to listen to Jesse Jackson's son and then say, you know what? I've had enough of it too. And then what do? They have to see it. And they continue to see it. And the attacks continue to come in. And they say, you know what? I've had enough. I've seen too much of what these Democrats are all about. I've had enough.
Here are the 5 reasons why I'm no longer a Democrat. I had to write it down to remember all of the reasons why. So first of all, when I was in high school, I didn't know that it was the Democrats who founded the Klan. I did not know that. I did not know that it was the Democrats who voted against the 13th Amendment, the amendment that freed the slaves. The Democrats were like, yeah, no, they didn't vote for that. I did not know that it was the Democrats who voted against the 14th Amendment, which made slaves citizens. I did not know that the Democrats voted against the 15th Amendment, which gave the slaves the right to vote. 13, 14, 15 amendments, Democrats were like, yeah, no, we're not voting for that. I did not know that there was a larger percentage of Republicans who worked to push through the Civil Rights Bill of 1964 than there were Democrats. I did not know that there was some white guy by the name of Everett Dickerson, a Republican, who was awarded by the NAACP for helping to facilitate and push the Civil Rights Bill of 1964 through. A white Republican did that. I did not know that Al Gore's dad participated in the largest filibuster to prevent the Civil Rights Bill of 1964 from passing. Al Gore's dad. He was a part of that. I did not know that the Democrats were more pro-abortion and they were anti-Vietnam and they were anti-war. They were pro-abortion, which kind of makes sense when you remember the 2004 Kamala Harris campaign when they had the mobiles in the parking lot, the abortion mobiles. And we also have to remember the woman who created Planned Parenthood. So these are the reasons why I'm no longer a Democrat. You come in the comments and let me know why you are still a Democrat and why none of this affects you or concerns you. And then you can also come in the comments and tell me that none of this is true because you can Google all of it.
Yep, you can find it all. The entire Democrat Party is filled with nothing but liars. They've manipulated and used the minority communities to their advantage. Well, they're not getting them much anymore, so they had to bring in the illegals to start voting for them. Well, that doesn't work as good as it used to. They're getting deported, so they have to play with the numbers at the voting machines. Well, that's not working, so they've got to get their people behind them to do what? To fill out as many illegal ballots as they can to take over these states like North Carolina swing states. Here's a foreign national caught after voting illegally.
Canadian accused of illegally voting in southeastern North Carolina.
A Canadian.
For decades. Federal prosecutors say Dennis Bouchard, originally from Canada, lives in Wilmington, but he never became a U.S. citizen. They say he lived in the area most of his life since he was a child. Prosecutors allege he's voted illegally in New Hanover and Pender counties for more than 20 years, now facing federal charges for voting in the 2022-2024 elections. Our sister station in Raleigh asked prosecutors why he's just now being charged for those two elections if they believe this has been going on as long as it has. But they would not answer. If we get details, we'll pass.
They would not answer.
They say
of course they can't answer. How many more are just like him? He's just one guy. How many more arrests are going to come of all those folks who are charged with voting in U.S. elections that weren't supposed to be doing it? You know, you think things aren't getting done or getting cleaned up in different areas like Minnesota. Tom Homan, remember he was sent into Minneapolis, and this is what he had to say.
Attorney General Mayor Fry and law enforcement officials about increasing coordination in a lawful way between the county jails and ICE to avoid public safety threats being released back in the community. While we had our differences, one thing was clear. We all committed to public safety for all who live in the Twin Cities. We have made significant progress under the direction of President Trump, working with state and local officials here in Minnesota, and I expect that to increase in the coming weeks. We continue to have discussions. I'll have discussions this afternoon. We currently have an unprecedented number of counties communicating with us now and allowing ICE to take custody of illegal aliens before they hit the streets.
Good.
Unprecedented cooperation.
Good.
Now I'll say it again. This is efficient, requires only 1 or 2 officers to assume custody of a criminal alien target rather than 8 or 10 officers going into the community and arresting that public safety threat. This frees up more officers to arrest or remove criminal aliens. More officers taking custody of criminal aliens directly from the jails means less officers on the street doing criminal operations.
That's what I'm talking about. Way to go, Tom Homan. You know, we had another interview drop Saturday, if you guys missed it. Big moves in silver, gold are coming. Bank of America predicts silver to hit $135 to $309 by the end of the year. Strong demand for silver and low demand will drive up the prices, and that's what we're seeing play out. And we had an amazing interview, and here's a portion from that.
Order changing, breaking down in a certain way. Domestic political orders changing, geopolitical order changing. Gold is up about 65% from a year ago and down about 16% from its high. We are quite close to capital war. World order has changed. How that is done, to use Donald Trump's expression, is really who's got the cards.
Would regime change in Iran make this region more investable?
Yes.
Huh.
So, would regime change in Iran make this more investable?
And he gets into that. You guys got to check out the video. It's at andweknow.com/gold. You can go into that description box below. They'll take care of you. They'll pray for you and so much more. Changed our life, folks. We brought in our IRAs at $20 for silver a while back. And you talk about my wife and I pretty happy. I mean, that thing is already, 4 to 5 times over, and we're going to see it grow even more. You're not going to see that anywhere else. So it's really amazing. You know, for those that have been talking, just a reminder of all the things playing out before our very eyes with the issues of the Muslims building all their mosques across the United States of America. I wanted to show you this clip.
Not all Muslims are violent, but all Islam is violent.
Okay.
It's the same as Christianity. Not all Christians are holy, but Christianity is holy. So when you see a Christian in the street get drunk, beat his wife up, you're like, that's not a Christian. The foundation of Christianity is holiness. But Islam in general, when you see a nice Muslim in the street, just because that Muslim is nice, it does not mean that's Islam. Islam is a violent religion. Muhammad was a warlord who went around killing Christians, Jews, anyone that got in his way. Christianity, as you said, Christianity spread through the blood of the martyrs. Islam spread through the blood of its enemies. Christianity was spread through the blood of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Christianity is a religion of peace. Islam is a religion of war. When people say Muhammad, may peace be upon him, you know, they can't say Muhammad without saying may peace be upon him. I say no. We need to change it to may the police be upon him. Literally, this guy, wherever he goes, Muhammad, there's war. And I hope Muslims are listening to me. If you're a kind, loving, caring Muslim, you're not a Muslim. Because you're not following the Quran. The Quran commands you to kill me. The Quran commands you to kill the infidels. Muhammad literally says, kill the infidels wherever you find them.
I think a Muslim would say, well, yes, but it's interpretation of those verses. And then they'll say there are verses in the Quran which they match elements of Christianity.
When people say, you know, you're misinterpreting, I'm like, okay, let's just look at the founder. Muhammad, Jesus. Muhammad said, kill the infidel. Jesus said, love your enemies. Muhammad said, before he died, Muhammad said, may Allah curse the Jews and the Christians. Jesus, before he died, said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. Muhammad owned slaves and them. Jesus honored women and covered them. Muhammad, the woman caught in adultery, stoned her to death. Jesus, the woman caught in adultery, said, neither do I condemn you, go and sin no more. Muhammad literally commands men that they can beat their wives up. Jesus commands men to love their wives. I love the Muslims, but I hate Islam. I love the Muslims and I want them to come to Christ.
And I've had the opportunity when I was in the Marine Corps, if you guys haven't heard about this, when I was active duty master sergeant, I was sent to the brig for a visit. We had to do it when we were on duty. What that means on duty, it means that we have 24 hours where we have to stand post and make sure that the base is okay, go around and visit the barracks, make sure that all of those that are in the barracks are being taken care of and more. And but part of the responsibility was visiting the brig. If anybody from a unit on that base was in the brig, they had to get a well visit or a visit to ask them a few questions. How are they doing? And one of the questions on there happened to do with, hey, has a chaplain gone to visit you, or do you want to visit of a chaplain? And I'll never forget, this guy said, well, yeah, I heard that there's a Muslim chaplain now. Yeah, they have Muslim chaplains. I was shocked. I was like, well, and I'd heard about it. I said, yeah, there's actually one here now. And he said, well, I'd like to have a visit from him. And I said, okay, I wrote it down. I said, well, that's interesting. I said, where are you from? He goes, Alabama. I said, how'd you end up becoming a Muslim? And he told me about it. And I said, well, you know, it's very interesting because I've actually had some very interesting talks with the folks on that before. And he said this, I'll never forget. He goes, you appear to be a Christian. I said, what? And he goes, Master Sergeant, you appear to be a Christian. And I was just wondering what you think about Muslims and stuff. And I said, well, I love the Muslim, but they're being deceived. And he goes, by how? And I just basically took him on a rundown of you know, a long little bit history, 5 minutes, basically showing him the difference between Christianity and Muslims. And at the very end, he says, wow, this is amazing. Can you help me figure out what type of Bible to read? Because we were actually sitting in the library in the brig in Camp Hansen on Okinawa, Japan. and went over to actually pick up a few Bibles, gave him a book from Chuck Swindoll. I said, did you know that Chuck Swindoll was a Marine? He goes, oh, I didn't know that. I said, this is a great book. And I handed him a few books, and I turned around, and the gunny who was running the brig came over and started screaming at him, and he stood at attention. He goes, what are you doing? You're supposed to be sitting down. And he says, Gunnery Sergeant, this Master Sergeant's teaching me what Bible I should read. That's a boy out of the mouth of babes. I know he's not a child, but he was like, oh my goodness. And of course, the gunny didn't look at me, and he told him to go back to his brig. So he sent him his room. So he went back to his whatever, and I left. And as I was walking out, that gunny looked like he was livid, and he would not look at me. He was talking to some young corporal as I walked out the hatch, out the door to my vehicle, and I was just praising the Lord, driving all the way back. And anyway, I thought that was pretty cool that this guy wanted to read a Bible. And so, statement from President Trump on Iran's surrender. He says there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender after that and the selection of a great and acceptable leaders. We and many of our wonderful and very brave allies and partners will work tirelessly to bring Iran back from the brink of destruction, make it economically bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Iran will have a great future. Make Iran great again. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Anon 55 put this out, the big flip. All the media and influencers like Alex Jones turning on Trump over Iran are either confused, uninformed, farming engagement to get paid, or controlled opposition. They build their name off Trump's name and then flip at some point. Trump warned Iran a long time ago. Did they agree with Trump when he said Iran cannot have nuclear weapons? In case people haven't noticed, our military under Trump has been fast and on point. Specific targets are being hit. I think it could be very quick because it was reported that the operation is ahead of schedule. Iran was captured and controlled by the people whose mission is to convert to the world to Islam. They want the whole world to live under Sharia law. The people of Iran were forced into submission. When they protested and they were gunned down, the people of Iran asked Trump to help them. I've seen the videos on X of Iranian people thanking Trump and celebrating. When Trump is done, Iran won't be a threat, and the good people of Iran will get their country back. It doesn't always have to be able to, from Israel. Like I've said before, you can't just stick a pin in the map and say, that's it. The people of the world are up against a worldwide network that's controlled by a small group of people, not one country. Trump used Israel strategically against the terrorists that were controlling Iran. It was Trump's operation. I'm sure Israel has a lot of intel on Iran. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Situational. It's called strategy. More weapons aimed at the enemy, more intel on the enemy, use less resources, and a closer look at your enemy's enemy. The question is, if we're up against a worldwide enemy that has strongholds in multiple countries, why focus on one place for the big picture? Do you guys get it? Remember, every country's got a cabal. Every country's got some type of entity at the top that's controlling all the people, and they use the government to do it, and they use their religion to do it too. Okay? I'll continue. Trump is hitting the targets that are down for violence. Cartels and terrorists. Those are the major threats. Without the major threats, the ones at the top are weak. In no way, shape, or form is removing a threat to America a bad thing. Giving the people of Iran their country back at the same time is bonus. Everyone called Anon's conspiracy theorists for talking about an elite pedophile club. Now people are starting to realize we were right. Anons knew Iran would be in place at some point. Trump is taking out the regime and telling the people of Iran to fight for their freedom, just like Q. Q told us, guys, and I'm showing you on the screen. Drop 1604 on June 2018. We stand with the good people of Iran who are currently battling their installed regime for freedom. True rule, the people have the power. Rise up and demand they be removed. At some point, military generals will act with the will of the people simply because their soldiers are those same people and have no choice. We stand with you. We are monitoring the situation closely. Stay safe. Free Iran. Iran, fight, fight, fight. Regime change. Let's continue. To be clear, I'm not defending Israel. I'm defending Trump. This post is not about Israel. It's about Trump and Iran. Don't come at me with that Operation Trust all the bull either. They didn't need Trump. All they had to do was put Hillary Clinton in the White House. It was her turn and everyone knows it. Plus, waking the world up doesn't help the cabal. It makes things harder for them because they are being exposed. That's like setting a trap and walking into it when you're done. It's definitely not a winning strategy. The Epstein files confirmed that Anons were right about the elite pedophile club, the number one topic used to mock Anons ending up being true. How many of the people turning on Trump bashed the Anons or dismissed us as crazy? How many of them talked about the elite pedophile club before the Epstein files were released? How many of them ignore Anons even after the conspiracy theorists were proven right? Anons, anonymous people, have been ahead of the curve. All these big names reported stuff after Anons already dropped it. Look at the elite pedophile club. The big names are a decade behind Anons on that. You don't have to believe everything Anons say, but you should definitely listen. Anons provide a perspective that other people don't. You may not believe Q, but enough information is lined up to make the Q information worth looking at. In the realm of information, you can't just overlook the Great Awakening, the biggest truther movement in history. Trump and his team are up against Democrats and Republicans. At the same time, they're fighting a worldwide power, the Illuminati. They're the only ones doing it. And folks, we're watching freedom play out for many of them across this earth. Now, I wanted to show you this. The Iranians in London gathered outside the U.S. Embassy to honor American troops who gave their lives. They even sang the national anthem. I'm going to play this and we'll go to prayer. As it faithfully blows, have concealed, have disclosed, catches thy gleam of morning stars beam, in full glory reflected, now shines on the screen. 'Tis the star-spangled banner, oh, long may it wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you again, overwhelmed with so much information, tired and weary over amount of things that are going on behind us, in front of us, with our friends, family members, and so much more. We definitely could not have made it this far without you. We still continue to need your strength that you provide through the Holy Spirit in our very lives, every second of every day. We ask that you continue to watch over those leaders that are making decisions on precision drops and things that are happening throughout this earth, the freedom that is coming to many of these oppressed nations, the fight against this cabal that has been run for so many centuries now being destroyed before our very eyes. We see it. We know you've heard our prayers, and we're excited about the things that will play out in the future as we're able to then share the gospel again worldwide and see many more people come to Christ. We ask for continued protection over our troops, over President Trump, his family, others that are on the front lines, Pete Hegseth, Mark Rubio, and those that we think of that are constantly under attack for protecting our nation and other nations on this earth from this evil satanic cabal. We bring this before you in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support, your prayers, and so much more. This will be a week to remember, that's for sure. We look forward to providing more updates in the future. For now, this is LT Semper Fi with Them We Know, signing out.
Largely no more. There'll be more boats to be sunk, for sure. So their ability to project any power in that area in a naval sense is diminishing. Diminishing and will be increasingly diminished. Again, what I want your viewers to understand is this is only just the beginning.
Wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do well, seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. Come now, and let us reason together, saith the Lord.